Long before colonial powers set their sights on the African continent, long before maps were redrawn, borders erected, and cultures disrupted, Africa was home to powerful cities and civilizations. These were not accidental settlements or scattered tribal villages as too often misrepresented, but carefully organized, economically vibrant, and intellectually advanced urban societies. Their architecture rivaled anything in medieval Europe. Their trade networks reached across oceans, and their governance reflected centuries of knowledge and tradition. Yet many of these cities are absent from mainstream history books, erased by colonial narratives that cast Africa as a continent without history. But the evidence is unmistakable. Africa was never in the dark, it was deliberately dimmed. One of the most striking examples is Great Zimbabwe, located in present-day Zimbabwe, which takes its name from this once thriving metropolis. Built between the 11th and 15th centuries by the Shona people, the city spans over 700 hectares and housed up to 20,000 inhabitants at its peak. The most iconic feature is its massive stone enclosures, walls as high as 11 meters and constructed without mortar. To this day, the technique behind their stability amazes engineers. Great Zimbabwe was a hub of wealth and power, fueled by its control of gold and ivory trade routes connecting to the Swahili coast and beyond. Arab and Chinese artifacts found there showed just how global its influence was. Yet for generations, European scholars refused to believe Africans could have created such grandeur, attributing the ruins to lost civilizations like the Phoenicians or even the Queen of Sheba. It wasn't until the 20th century that archaeologists confirmed what local knowledge had always known. Great Zimbabwe was proudly African. Travel west and you'll encounter the Kingdom of Benin, centered around Benin City in modern-day Nigeria. Founded over 1,000 years ago, Benin City became renowned for its advanced governance, vast walls and moats, and artistic excellence. When Portuguese explorers arrived in the 15th century, they were astonished by the city's structure. Broad boulevards, street lighting using palm oil lamps, and a complex bureaucracy. But the most lasting legacy is the Benin bronzes, exquisite brass and ivory plaques and sculptures that once adorned the royal palace. These pieces, now held mostly in Western museums after British forces looted the city in 1897, speak of a society that valued culture, identity, and history. The loss was not just physical, it was cultural, and it still resonates today. Further down the East African coast lies Kilwa Kisiwani, an island city-state that flourished between the 9th and 16th centuries. This Swahili trading city was a beacon of Islamic learning, maritime commerce, and architectural beauty. It controlled vast stretches of the Indian Ocean trade, linking Africa to Arabia, Persia, India, and even China. From Kilwa's ports, gold from inland Zimbabwe, slaves, ivory, and spices were exported. Chinese porcelain and Arabic manuscripts flowed in. The Great Mosque of Kilwa, constructed from coral stone, is among the oldest standing mosques on the East African coast. The city's ruins, now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, whisper stories of cross-continental relationships, urban planning, and the blending of cultures centuries before colonial conquest. These cities are not isolated marvels. They are part of a broader truth, that Africa had civilizations that created, governed, traded, taught, and innovated. The idea that African history begins with colonization is a myth, one designed to justify domination. In truth, Africa was globally engaged, intellectually fertile, and deeply rooted in culture and science long before Europe arrived. Today, the ruins of Great Zimbabwe, the scattered bronzes of Benin, and the silent walls of Kilwa Kisiwani are not just relics, they are reminders. Reminders of what was and what was taken, but also of what still lives on, in oral traditions, in resurgent scholarship, and in a new generation of Africans determined to reclaim the past. Africa was not waiting to be discovered. It was a force in its own right. The lost cities are not just stories of stone and ruin. They are blueprints of pride, power, and possibility. And now the world must listen.